Hi, Denise Dryden here from Helena, Montana. It's beautiful. We've got fall going on, and this is like Last Chance Gulch, and it's where all the old historical buildings are, and it's fabulous. So sometimes you're going to hear the cars going by, and yet at the same time, So it looks like my service is going on and off. So I know we're live, and it'll just pause every once in a while, but welcome to Helena, Montana. So today we're going to talk about patterns. And I got my clipboard because there's some really key pieces, and sometimes I ramble if I don't have an outline, so forgive me if you see me looking at this. When we're talking about patterns, what I want to start with is the idea that as a child, and I use this all the time in my coaching, our children are, they come into the earth and they look around and they go, oh, this is mom, this is dad, these are humans, they're taking care of me. There might be a sibling, a grandparent. But what they do is they see and they scan and they look around and they record everything that we do, and then they play it back to us. And that's their only sense of reality, is what they're able to see, scan, and record. And we've talked about this in previous recordings. However, what I really want to do is when we can drive home that idea that when we see, scan, and record as a child, we're watching how our parents breathe, how they smile, how they interact, how they find their sense of self. And these pieces are much more unconscious than what we know. So what I want to talk to is the parent, because we're the translator for the world. We've got a siren going by now. It's even better because it's the middle of town. Never hear this in Whitefish. We're the translator, which means for the first 5 years, everything that we do is kind of like, okay, so this is what cold weather looks like in Helena, Montana, which is why my jacket's on. These are what the sounds are. This is what that is in the background. This is a fire engine. These are what dry leaves feel like. This is what scrambled eggs taste like. And we translate for them everything that they know to be true. So what happens is our children, they match. Mom eats that, I either like it or I don't like it, and they match us constantly. So they're copying everything we do, including our patterns. So oh, hi Melody, I am so glad you're here. Thank you for that remark. So we have to recognize, and I've got a magpie. Oh, look up spirit animal on magpies. That's beautiful, standing right above me. When our children are looking at our energy system and our energies, our systems, and our patterns, what they're doing is they're realigning and matching it so that the two of us are in this state of homeostasis. We're in balance, and we're actually starting to move together. And that happens because our children match us. So that puts the responsibility back on us to know, what is it that I'm really sending out? I might be smiling, I might be thinking I'm doing a great job as a mom, but if I have some things like insecurity, doubt, fear, if I hold on to a victim energy and things happen to me all the time and life is so hard, or if we're tense and we're on alert all the time because we're in fight or flight, because we're in an unhealthy relationship and we're in that, is the abuser close by? Do I have to watch myself and walk on eggshells? Are we codependent? Do we do everything for other people and not take care of ourselves, and our children watch? Okay, so I guess that's what life is like. You do for other people and you never take care of yourself. Are we overactive, and do we use busyness to distract? And if we use busyness, always on the move, can't sit still, and we teach our children how to move all the time, what happens if they're an introvert? Or if they're on the spectrum, or if they have some sensitivity and they need downtime, and they're matched with a parent who's like, go, 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 and they've got this level of anxious energy about them. So, what that also comes into is what happens when we have parents that are depressed and lethargic. Oh, I don't care. Do whatever you want to do. And our kids are like, I need something more. Oh, magpies, communication patterns and sound. I love it. Thank you, Melody. So the magpie is about communication patterns, and it's the most perfect animal to just sort of show up right here while we're talking about patterns. So the big patterns that I want us to pay attention to are going to be anger, anxiety, distrust of the world, control. Those are the big four. If we don't trust the world, if we try to control everything, if we're angry, or if we run this high level of energized, pulsing anxiety through our body, these things are going to impact our children. So I came up with this topic because about 3-4 weeks ago, I was down in the Bay Area visiting my family. And I've been away from San Jose since I was 18. And we're having this lovely, large, extended family dinner, and I'm calm for the first time, being, like, I used to get really nervous going home. It wasn't a good place for me. And I'd get really edgy. And I had this calmness about me. And I looked at my partner, Ted, and he was calm. And I looked at a couple of my niece and my nephew, and they were calm. And yet everybody else around the table had this tick going on the side of their mouth. And it was like, wow, they're smiling and their eyes are just a little angry, and there's just this under the surface anger. And I looked at my mom and I looked at my dad, and this like light bulb went off, and I was like, oh my God, I was raised in a family system where there's just this little tiny bit of anger right underneath the surface, and it's pervasive all the time. And then I realized that when I was looking for a mate and a father for my children, I found a man who had that same energy in his body, that little tiny bit of anger right underneath the surface. And I was very comfortable with him, which is why we talk about, the Imago theory with Harville Hendrix and all of these other, leaders who are telling us we match the people that we marry, that we partner with, that we have children with, and we match their energy. And I was like, well, okay. So I matched anger. And then now that I have a 29, a 27, and a 25-year-old, I realized that these beautiful children of mine also hold that energy of anger in their bodies. And all of us are slowly learning how to just loosen that up and let it go. So that's what I want to talk about, is when you're ready to address this, what do we do with anger patterns, anxiety patterns, distrust, and some of the rest of them that we've talked about. So I think the first and foremost thing is to name it out loud. I used to be someone who held a lot of anger in my body. And for those of you who've known me over the years, it's true. I mean, I was sent... the first job I ever took in Bend, Oregon, I was sent by my best friend and a group of ladies to go, here's some time with a therapist. There's something going on underneath the surface in you that interferes at times. And I was like, oh. And that was the first time I became aware that anger was interfering with my relationships. So identify it, name it out loud. Learn the places where it resides in your body. Is it in that jaw? Is it in the clenching? Is it in the neck and the shoulders? Is it in your stomach? Is it gripped? Is it in the way that you hold on to things? So lower bowels, hands, feet, do they get really clenched up? Stomach. And then play around with this. When does it show up? And when does it calm down? What environments do you feel your shoulders relaxing and the top of your back start to become sort of loose and gelatin? And then when are the times when you can feel it really tense? Hi, it's a public place and we've got all sorts of people walking by. If you know where it's present in your body, then you can start to use it as an indicator. And one of the things I do with my coaching is I use a polarity exercise where we really sort of summon up all that energy. And then we imagine the exact opposite, and we walk to it, and we walk back and forth until we can identify where it resides in your body. And then once we know it's there, then as a parent, we step into choice. Choice and opportunity. Choice is where I know that I'm doing something that interferes with my quality of life and my children's quality of life. And now it's up to me to choose something different, which is to actively use techniques that help soften these shoulders and loosen us up. So, what do we do to relax it? What do we do to get in touch with it? And then when we're in that choice, do we do our exercises? Like, some of my clients, I even have them put a little X on the floor where they know that relaxed place is. And if they can't find it, go over there and stand in that place until you can feel your shoulders soften. Journaling, yoga, body work, coaching, therapy. All of these pieces are about that parent work we talk about. That when we know that something we're doing is interfering with our children and we're passing anxiety down to them generationally, it's passed through our DNA in vitro, it's matched energetically in the raising of our child, and our children pick those things up and then they carry them. And then we have to model this and teach our children how to use ways to relax and identify where anger or anxiety or busyness or control or some of these really deep pervasive patterns. Now, you know, astrologically, what we're looking at is an invitation over the last 6 months with the moons and the solar eclipses and these waves of energy that say, it's time to let go of these patterns. They're not serving you anymore. So, you know, become curious about astrology. Go talk to a coach or a therapist, do body work, but get in touch with what it is what's the pattern you run and how do I deal with it? And if you want some help, give me a call. I'm a coach. I coach those who parent. You can find me at DeniseDrydenCoaching.com, and I would love your comments. And Melody, I am so pleased that you came and hung out with me today. Hello to Santa Cruz from Helena, Montana. So enjoy your wonderful fall day, and I'll see you next week. Take care.